Ooh, shit.
Do you have any more of these?
Yeah, I need to get you another one.
Oh,
I
I need a whole vigil in front of my house. Welcome to the Guns for Everyone podcast. You can find us at gfenational.com. You can donate before you even watch any more of this. Just go donate right now. Just go click the donate button and actually put that one up there. Let's see. What else we got? YouTube's, Instagrams.
Yeah, we got it all. We got
Tweeters.
it all. Tears. We got it all.
Oh yeah, Facebook.
We were supposed to have a guest today, and she decided that she did not want to come on anymore. So
changed her mind.
Changed her mind.
Oh, okay.
Changed her mind. I don't know if I told my response to her was I hate it. Why? I hate the reason why, but I get it. The person we're supposed to have on, her name is Courtney. Courtney is she didn't want to fucking be on and want to be on a low. Fucking just talk about her.
Just say Courtney. Courtney is a member of a we say marginalized community.
I was about to I was about to say the Instagram handles and shit like that. I think if we just omit that, I think we'll be fine. Because there's all kinds of Courtneys.
Yeah.
So we'll just leave it at Courtney.
Courtney is like, without even talking to you ahead of time, I'm sure I understand why as well.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way. I hate the possible reason why, but I completely understand. So
yeah, well, I'll talk about it because I think it's a good kind of opening because we were supposed to have Courtney on, but Courtney's trans. We've had Courtney on the podcast before, and it's one of I wanted to have a conversation. Trump's DOJ said that trans people shouldn't have guns. And I've heard, I'm trying to stay off social media for the past few days, and I haven't been keeping up, but I don't know how true it is that they're even trying to categorize trans people as a terrorist organization. And so I wanted to have this conversation with Courtney about the situation, right? I'm not trans. I don't necessarily pretend to fully understand and feel. I get it a little bit, right? We're being rounded up according to the media on the and so I get it.
Meaning Mexicans, not you like cisgendered male.
Yeah, as a Mexican, we're being rounded up and
you have your own problems
and being shot at while being detained by a person that's trying to save us. I guess that's one way to save us.
Yeah.
So at any rate, I wanted to have this conversation and overall just have a conversation of how fucking stupid it is to have any administration, especially the one that says I'm the most pro-gun president ever, to then say I want to ban a certain class of humans from having guns.
Yeah. Which, by the way, aside from the absolutely moronic take that is, it's the same problem that we tried to identify in 2001 and 2002 and 2003 as Bush's Justice Department went after terrorists and created a no-fly list and created the conditions that allowed the FISA courts to blank check warrants, national security warrants and wiretapping and all that stuff. And it was like, well, it's to get the terrorists. Don't you want to kill the terrorists? And the response should be, well, what happens when you're the terrorist? For the president to take broad authority to ban gun ownership or try to do so for one group of people based on a specific characteristic about that group of people, that opens the door. It opens the door for the next president to do the exact same thing. And this goes for Pam Bondi's moronical statement about hate speech and all kinds of stuff.
Right?
Um,
That's
just doesn't make any logical sense. And I think actually, I saw quite a bit of gun people who did speak up and say this is a really bad thing.
I was
Very
actually
few people.
surprised on how
Yeah,
many stood up and said, "This is garbage."
yeah.
I really was, which was refreshing.
It was refreshing, and that is definitely something we need right now is a little bit of refreshing.
So
So,
that was surprising. It caught me off guard, and I'm sorry to everyone that I doubted, but as soon as Bondi came out and said what she said, I was like, "Oh fuck, here we go,
yeah,
here we go." And surprisingly, I a majority of the gun organizations, instructors that I follow, a great majority are like, regardless of how you feel about the other subject, this is a bad idea.
yeah.
This is a bad idea.
So, if we just take a quick step back, what seemed to ignite this debate, or at least like pour gasoline on it, is the shooting of Mr. Kirk.
Yeah,
Um, And we talked about this the other day. Like I didn't really follow Charlie Kirk. I knew who he was, I kind of knew who he was. I feel like I know who he was a little bit better now that I've paid a little attention to what's been going on. Um, but the very first reports I saw of this, I saw people saying, "I bet it was a trans shooter."
yeah,
We just had the shooting at the Catholic school. What, a week or two before that, maybe a week before that.
correct.
And there were some questions about the guy who shot at Trump and what his deal was. Uh, and, like, I can understand reactionism. I can understand the way that people react to something shocking. Seeing Charlie Kirk get shot, that was shocking. Seeing somebody take a shot at Trump, that is shocking. It's shocking to the senses to see that happen. And if you align yourself politically or morally or whatever with these people, it's even more shocking. Um, so having those like initial reactions, like, "Oh my God, who did it? Who did it?" I understand that. But pursuing ignorance doesn't make any sense. Like, let those feelings happen. Oh shit, like when I saw Trump get shot at, like I couldn't speak for a minute. I was just like, dude, this is so crazy. This is
No,
wild. You have those reactions, but if you just pursue ignorance in the aftermath, that is so stupid.
that's all humans are clinging on to right now,
I
dude.
know.
It's been so depressing.
And it's gone in all these weird directions. You have people are like, "Oh, it's a trans shooter," and you're like, "No, no, it wasn't." Well, yeah, but it sort of was. And then you have people who are like, "Oh, it was the Jews," and then you have people saying, "Oh, it was like aliens," and they just once they get it in their head what they think it was, they just like go for it. And now all the evidence must point to that conclusion.
Dude, I didn't even want to talk about this, but you fucking opened up the Pandora's box, and here the fuck we are.
Hmm.
I had a text conversation today with
Today.
with a human. This human sends me a video, and if it's one of those with the red circles, anytime you see a picture
Oh
with the
yeah.
red circle on it, you know this is gonna be fucking bogus.
Yeah.
So I watched the fucking video. I shouldn't have, and I was like, "What? This is fucking hilarious."
Yeah.
And then in the same thread of the video, there's somebody I was like, "If you just play the shit frame by frame, none of what you said actually fucking happened."
Yeah. What was it? A circle around the guy shooting the gun?
No, no, no.
Oh,
This
okay.
one was the guy leaped over the table, and they said he picked something up as he was going, and then he collided with another human, and that's when they did the detonator handoff. And then he took the detonator to the truck or some shit like that. And then you play frame by frame, and both their hands are empty. If you just play frame by frame, but of course, no. But it's because there's a string right there.
Yeah.
So I asked this human because we also had this conversation about ballistics. Because like, wow, will the bullet do this? I was like, yeah, like there's so many variables that affect how a bullet travels, how it
Mhm.
penetrates, how anything. I mean, you're talking about like just the time of day that it was, and again, I didn't want to even have this conversation, but you open up the fucking Pandora's box, and I will make it brief. If you just look at physics, just a slight change in temperature, going from the mirage
Mhm.
of the heat wave going up and then it's stabilizing, that can affect the way it changes. I've seen it.
Mhm.
I've fucking seen it. You can change. You can. I would fucking challenge anybody to go and shoot at a hill or whatever in the morning, midday, and then in the evening, and your trajectory is going to change slightly. Maybe
Mhm.
not fucking grotesque, but it's going to change a little bit. Ask a hunter, somebody who sees this firsthand.
Yeah.
Um, we have we have war. We have videos of war that show very similar circumstances. But again, to your point, these humans are like, no, I don't
Yeah.
care what you
No,
show me. So
it had to be a Jewish, camera gun. Have you seen that one?
no, I,
So, there's a
I've
camera behind Charlie Kirk in the tent,
yeah.
and the theory is that the camera was actually, like a string gun, and it had a projectile on a string, and so it fires through the back of his neck, blows out the front of his neck, and then retracts.
It's crazy. It's fucking crazy. So somebody asked me the question about the rifles and will a rifle do this? Can you do this with the rifle? I said, yeah. It's like, but and then they're like, prove it. I was like,
Well, why'd you even ask me?
correct. So here's my response. But I'll ask, yes, I will. But I will ask this question before I go to my collection. Conspiracy theories, when presented with proof, often move the goalpost. If I'm going to make time to show you how it's not rare, will you just simply dismiss it and make it conform to what you already believe? If you're stuck in confirmation bias, it's not valuable for me to like. It's not valuable for me to entertain because that's what you do. Is flat earthers are the same fucking way.
Mhm.
It was like, no,
Yeah.
here's all the actual like objective evidence.
Yeah.
And like, well, no, it's because the and then you present it with evidence like, well, not that time.
Yeah.
It was something else.
Yeah.
But it's like you just want to be, to your point, you're pursuing ignorance.
Yeah.
You're searching for ignorance.
Well, I was talking to some relatively knowledgeable gun people about it, and one of them mentioned that the reason his shirt moved is because the wind of the air disturbance of the bullet passing past the shirt. And
These are not subsonic fucking bullets.
I'm
Like
like, it's 2025 and you don't know that that's not a real thing? Like, we have nerds on YouTube who can demonstrate it's not a real thing. One of my favorite videos that I watched in the last month or so was, I think it's the Ballistic High Speed guys, and they have one of those ballistic dummies, and this one has an arm, and they're trying to test the theory of the bullet causing injury to the arm without actually touching the arm.
okay,
And they also want to show, how much air disturbance does the bullet do as it passes. So they're shooting a 50 cal, and they're shooting it past a couple of playing cards that are stacked up, like in a little playing card tower. They're shooting it past a pile of powder, like a
yeah,
talcum powder or something.
yeah,
And there's like no air disturbance as the bullet moves within, a pubic hair distance away from these things. It is not causing these things to move. And then they shoot past the ballistic dummy. And again, these guys can be pretty precise. The other day, they fired a bullet into another bullet while it was flying, not head on, like bullets
yeah.
moving the same direction. They hit them. It was amazing. These guys are incredibly talented. So they get this 50 cal bullet to just barely go past this arm, no damage. And then for fun, they just fire the 50 cal right through the arm. And I was surprised at how little damage it did.
Because of the
Uh,
velocity, you get to a point where it's just so incredibly fast. Because you hit this point, and if I'm
mhm,
understanding the math correctly, I'd have to look at it. you hit a certain point where the bullet's traveling just at a certain speed where it's just the through and through.
Yeah.
This is why military and this is available data, by the way. The
Mhm.
military, the Geneva Convention or whatever the fuck it's called now, will only allow a certain amount of ammunition, and that's usually what's used in these circumstances because the lethality of it is it's not as likely as it is with hollow points and shit like
Yeah.
that.
So, I have seen some incredible things happen with bullets firsthand.
Yeah,
Stuff that you can't explain.
correct.
And I have
Yeah,
watched
but
enough.
that's just your firsthand. Like,
Yeah.
was it on Twitter?
Well, so then you get people who are like, "Well, I'm a hunter and I know because." Like, okay, well you're talking about your experience,
Correct,
and your experience could include things that match this and things that don't match it, but it
correct.
doesn't mean your experience is conclusive. My
Yeah,
experience with bullets doing weird things is I can't explain what I just saw.
correct,
So my experience is bullets can do things that you can't explain. And they
correct.
can do that across a number of different types of mediums. I shot a tire one time with a 7.62 by 39, and I found the jacket and the core in the tire separated and almost completely perfectly intact.
No, that can't happen. I don't know if you've gone to Twitter right now, but
Yeah,
that's not true.
yeah.
That's not true. Like,
And so
how can it stop? It's a fucking 30 cal bullet, dude.
yeah,
The fuck
yeah.
is wrong with
Do you
you?
know tires can't stop a 30 cal bullet?
Are you
Okay, buddy. Okay, whatever you say, you know. So even this weekend, I was at the Pikes Peak Gun Club doing a class, and I looked down, and there's a 9 millimeter bullet by my foot, perfectly intact. It's got rifling on it, but the bullet is there's no deformity. The,
yeah.
the bullet you could literally clean it up and drop it into a reloaded round, and it would be fine. And it's sitting in the middle of the range. How the hell did it get there?
Voodoo,
Voodoo.
the Jews.
And so yeah, but when you're looking when you start with a conclusion and you go in search of evidence, you will not only see evidence that aligns with that, you will in fact make up evidence without even realizing you're doing it. You'll make up evidence that aligns with that theory.
Dude,
Um,
it's the very simple old adage, "To a hammer, everything's a fucking nail."
right. It's why we have the scientific method. The scientific method says, okay, here's what I think might happen, but I'm going to go try to prove that's not what's happening.
Not,
Yeah.
not.
And until I run out of ideas on how to prove it's not true, it's not fully tested or it's not
Correct.
adequately tested.
Well, and let's set all that shit aside. Who cares? Like, it's very cynical and it's like,
Mhm.
like, how does this affect your daily life? Well, it's because the government, yeah, they're shitty. Like,
Yeah.
boo fucking, like, surprise, the
Yeah.
government sucks. No way. The government has covered shit up. No way. And if
Yeah.
we say it, what happens? What changes? What all it does to society is create more of a divide,
Mhm.
depresses the fuck out of the rest of us normal fuckers that are like, yeah, I believe the government's shitty, but this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna say the Jews did it, at least present me with the fucking plausible explanation. Because I've been looking and comparing with the JFK stuff during the JFK conspiracy theory shit. At least a lot of their shit was very consistent
Mhm.
and somewhat plausible. This is just batshit crazy stuff. The fucking drone dropped from the camera and the camera fucking poked him in the butthole and like it's just like I don't know what the fuck you're and if that's what happened, what happened? Like what do you like what's the end result? What are we trying to accomplish with sharing this information?
Yeah.
Because you
Yeah.
know it and then so what?
Well,
Um
and that I think a lot of these conclusions in search of evidence already have a reason why. It's like I already want to believe that this group is responsible or that group is responsible. So, I think this it's not like so what, it's like the what is the thing they're starting with. Um that's a really awful way to live, man. What a miserable life
yeah.
to just always be looking for a reason to hate something. Like I don't like the government, but I have more important things to do than focus on that with my daily life, you know?
You were in my thread, motherfucker. You were in my thread. You were in my motherfucker. I'm gonna send you the
Okay.
fucking thread because this was it. Because my end thing was, listen, I don't like my mom. I don't spend my entire life trying to see where she goes, what she's doing, why she's
Yeah.
doing it. In fact, what I try and do is avoid her.
Yeah.
I don't try and sit there and dwell on what the fuck she's doing because
Mhm.
that's not healthy.
Yeah.
I hate the government. I dislike the government. I'm trying to not participate in government as much as I fucking possibly can.
Yeah.
I can't avoid it 100%, but that's dumb. Like it's just it's not it's not healthy.
One of the, podcasts I listened to, the guy was making the point that when things like this happen, we have a choice between choosing anti-civilization and pro-civilization. Anti-civilization is like blame and revenge, and pro-civilization is let's find our way through this in a way
Right.
that builds civilization up, you know. But his point was about the revenge side is it feels really good. It feels so good to get on the social media and start, you know, raging at the group that you hate, and, you know, blaming them for everything, and then go and find your stupid non-existent evidence and post that and little circles on. One of the dumbest ones I saw was this guy had his arms crossed like this, and they're do the circle, and they're playing frame by frame, and they're like, and that's the moment you can see the gun go off. No, you can't. You can't see that because it's not there. Not only that, but you're telling me this guy is about 10 yards away and he scores a neck shot from here, pointing that way. Like, he threads the needle
You
and
don't you dude, you don't know what kind of bullets the Jews have, man.
yeah, it's true.
Dude,
That's true.
the alien Jews. Oh my god, dude. Those bullets?
Well, actually, Brandon Herrera introduced, me to not me personally, but through his videos, to a gun I had never seen before, with a rocket gun. Have you ever seen the rocket gun?
No.
So it fires a bullet that is a rocket.
Oh, yeah,
So
that came out a while ago,
oh,
right?
it's a long time ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like a Cold War era,
This dude wrote a book about it. Didn't he somebody wrote a fucking book about it,
probably.
and he
Yeah.
came to our class.
Oh, he came to the class?
I think so.
Okay.
If it's the same gun.
Yeah, it's an incredible piece of technology. I mean, it doesn't work. I mean, it does work in that when you fire it, it will go off most of the time. Sometimes it just explodes. Uh, but, you know, not a very effective weapon as far as actually hitting something. But it is true that I didn't know it existed. So who knows what the Jews have with their heat-seeking pocket folding guns. But yeah, to that point, it's just like people get so sucked into it, and the ones that I see getting sucked into it, like the most hardcore, are the ones that don't really have anything else going on for them. You know, like they don't have any real purpose. And if you don't have any real purpose, like this becomes your purpose, I think.
Yeah. I don't I don't I'm trying to think of everybody that I know that is like that.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
I think this is, you know, people talk about like the boomers slipping into this, and I'm maybe starting to figure out why. Because I'm hitting my mid 40s and I'm starting to wonder what the hell all this is for. Yeah, and like you've been there for a while,
yeah.
but I'm starting to just sit there and be like, why, why, why? And
Why?
then if you did that enough, and now you're still punching in and punching out of your job, you know, and you're still paying your rent and your insurance and everything, and by the time you hit your 50s, you're just like, why?
Why?
And then Charlie Kirk gets shot, and you're like, now I have a purpose. I got to prove that the Jews did this. Which might explain why they get so invested in it, because if you could talk them out of it, then they wouldn't have anything to live for. So,
What a weird thing to be so obsessed about. What
I
a
yeah,
weird thing to cling on to. Like
yeah,
it's just like the flat earther stuff, just like with any other conspiracy theory, it's just like, okay, and why? Like
yeah,
and why? 9/11, I dread it for different reasons. Like it's not even
because the Instagram feed is gonna be
oh my
full
god, dude. And it's really tough to beat that algo.
Yeah.
Once that algo gets going, even just a little bit, even if you delete it on accident, the algo's like, "Oh, you touched it?" Like, fucking you clearly want to hear about how paper that flew away isn't gonna burn inside, and how steel doesn't melt, even though we've
Yeah.
proven that it does melt. And then I had my brother one time, he's all like, "Wow, they found thermite." I was like, "Do you know what fucking thermite is?" Like, it is quite literally just fucking, or oxide, aluminum oxide. Aluminum and fucking rust is all it essentially what it comes out to be.
And
Um,
I could be wrong about this, but now we're getting like way outside our area of expertise.
way, way.
But generally speaking, when you build structural steel, you let the top layer patina or rust.
Yeah,
It actually like the way that it does it actually protects the metal from moisture going
correct,
forward.
correct.
Um, Now, if it doesn't go right, then the steel will just rust out. But if it does go right, then it basically works as its own protection. But yeah, it's surface rust, and then you put aluminum oxide or whatever on it and superheat it, and boom, there you go. You got
There you
thermite.
go.
So
Fucking science,
science.
science. Anyways,
But speaking of
anyways.
science, it is the idea that if you really understood science, you would understand the process. You don't have to know everything.
Correct.
You just need to understand the process by which it works, by which science works. And then that would put you in a position of like, I really don't know. I know this has been tested and this has been tested, and you have some idea of maybe what the mechanism here is, but
Well, and the stuff is out there, right? Like we see this with the pyramids. I don't know how the fuck they move the rocks, and then there's literally a dude on YouTube in his backyard moving 4,000 pound rocks with the fucking 2x4.
yeah.
Have you seen that video?
Yeah, that guy's been around for like a couple decades
I
now.
don't think he's making new videos,
No.
but it's like look.
Probably one of those things finally fell on him, but
So people are like so amazed how the Egyptians did it. I was like, Go look at this dude in his backyard.
yeah.
He's using physics
Yeah.
to move this fucking ginormous fucking rock with very little effort because he understood how science works." And
Yeah.
people are like, "But how did he cut it?" I was like, "Well, it's fucking science. Like, it's not. It's like it's difficult for you because you're retarded. It's not. But how can they forget that?" I was like, "Ask your kid to write cursive. Go.
Mhm.
Like, how does society lose knowledge? Go ask your kid to fucking go write cursive right now."
Yeah.
Like, most kids right now cannot write cursive, right?
Can't
Because we
even
don't
read it.
need to. Yeah, can't
Yeah.
even. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Why? Because we don't fucking use it. It's not part of our day to day. It goes out of the brain. The brain's like, this is not important anymore.
Yeah.
It's so
Um,
easy, but I guess to your point, if I already want it to be a certain way,
right.
that's the way it is.
So this cultural divide going on with blaming one or more group of people for violence, it's kind of the same thing. People are like, well, I have to believe that my side is correct, and then we're less dangerous or we're less bad. And I'm reading a lot of people's comments on what happened to Charlie Kirk and what side is responsible and blaming who and free speech and everything. And if you took the names out of those sentences, if you took the
Yeah,
Republican or
yeah.
Democrat or liberal or conservative or Nazi or communist,
Same
it's
fucking comments,
same sentences,
same sentences.
same sentences. And that should clue you into something, you know. Uh But again, people, they're starting from a position of I know the truth, so therefore all the information that I look at aligns to that. And that is in fact how the brain works. It's pretty simple um, psychology,
Yeah,
but the brain does align with goals. The brain's perceptions aligns with goals. It's why when we talk about the perceived need to shoot, we have to align your goal correctly first so that you understand how we expect you we as humans expect you to act responsibly with a gun out in public. The gun is for saving lives. If the gun is for saving lives and you understand that and that's your goal and the alignment, then your perception of the threat will follow that goal.
Yeah.
Um, how that happens, very subjective, very
Correct.
chaotic, very specific to the circumstances. But if you align your ideas to what you think the law says, and you say what is legal, then you will perceive you will make your decisions based on the perception of what you think is legal and not legal.
Correct.
And like it's kind of funny. I've been talking about this for a long time, but it's never really occurred to me in that way before. But it absolutely is true from a psychological basis
Correct.
that your perceptions will align with your goals.
Correct.
Um, and
And
it's
that's
like,
not always a positive thing.
no, because the brain doesn't have necessarily like a morality built into that system.
Yeah. It just wants to survive.
Right.
And it's surviving. This is the most difficult thing to convince humans of. I don't know if convince is the correct word, but show them how our brains are designed. Even though we're in 2025, they're very primitive. They're very much still in caveman mode. They have not evolved to understand what we have in front of us.
Hmm.
So the brain is designed. Don't jump off the bridge. Last time you climbed that fucking tree, you fucking almost died. Like it's designed for that type of shit. Now there's variables, and now there's every circumstance. It depends. Like
Hmm.
now there's way too much fucking nuance that humans don't get, and they don't grasp onto. So it's a crazy thing. I get why it's there. I understand its importance, but in 2025, it seems like it has more detriment than it has positive.
Yeah. Well, I don't subscribe to the idea that we are going to evolve past what we
Yeah,
are.
correct. Yeah, yeah,
Um,
for
so I
sure.
don't really have any faith that like we're gonna get any better at this.
Well, this is it, right? This
Yeah.
is part of. I don't care how what you believe in,
Hmm.
but this is essentially survival of the fittest. Like
Hmm.
we've reached our max intelligence.
Yeah.
Technology is going to get better a little bit, but the technology has overall um technology is evolving, but we're still dumb. Like
Yeah.
we're still,
Well,
so we're gonna die off.
generally speaking, we operate off of systems that we don't really fully understand. Like we have our logical brain, but our logical brain only does a little bit of our actual decision making and processing. Um, Most of the rest of what we perceive and act on, we don't really understand what we're doing or why we're doing it.
Correct. We
So
just do it.
we just do it.
It's crazy to believe that we only have about a 1% higher understanding of all of that than a fucking gorilla or a fucking chimpanzee. Like it's minimal. But that's how stupid we are. And that's how fucked we are. That we're just like 1% off from I think the number's correct. We ought
Are
to,
you talking about evolutionarily?
yeah, like
Yeah.
just separation. We're like 1%. Our brain has like 1% more capacity
Yeah.
than those fuckers.
Well, that 1% turns out to be pretty impressive because we can build supercars.
And
And
we jack off
yeah,
in private and not at a zoo.
instead of in front of everybody. Um, yeah. So, the, um, the Charlie Kirk stuff has been like, we talked about this the other day, has been very depressing,
Yeah.
uh, has been very, like we were both saying, like, can't really explain why it seems to drag us down so much more than anything else that's happened. Um, Even though I wasn't a fan or whatever, and I know you weren't like a fan. Uh,
I've
y-
never seen one of his videos.
okay.
Never. I've seen clips that people would post in passing,
Hmm.
doing your death scroll at 2 o'clock in the morning,
Hmm.
trying to go to sleep. Never did I stop and watch the whole video. Never did I
Hmm.
subscribe. Never, like never. This is why I'm not emotionally invested. I was gonna make a video and you talked me out of it. Not, it didn't take much to. to talk me out of it. This fucking light. Um, we'll just do this. Fuck it. Um, and what ended up happening was I was gonna make a video about um the Charlie Kirk situation, but not about Charlie Kirk, the security
Mhm.
and how fucked it was and how um just talking about the limbic system and just talking about that type of shit. That's what the video was going to be about. And that's the only reason. Outside of that, I had whoa, look at that shit. Outside of that, I had no insight. I didn't know why. I didn't know who the fuck he was, and I mean, I knew who he was, but I
Mhm.
didn't care. I don't
Yeah.
care. Like Candace Owens, same thing. Don't care.
Mhm.
Ben Shapiro, don't care. I know who they are, but couldn't give two fucks about their existence because it doesn't affect mine. Like it's
Right.
there. It just doesn't. But that said, for whatever reason, him getting shot just fucking depressed the fuck out of me. Not like emotionally, oh, I'm so sad that he's dead. It just something about it
Yeah.
was weird.
Disturbing maybe is the word.
Probably.
Um, but I wanna remind people, that there was a period in our living history, in the late '60s where there were 5 bombs being detonated a day in political violence in this country. 5 a day on
That's crazy,
average,
dude.
across I think it was 1968 through 19 to the early '70s. Maybe it was maybe 1970. Um, Murders happening. We
Yeah.
had high profile murders, we had street murders, you know, I just don't want people to despair that just because things are seemingly bad right now, that we as a country couldn't get through it, because we did get through it
Yeah.
in the '60s and '70s. And
But this is not unique. Like we've been here
yeah.
before. Like these conversations, I you can go find clips of people talking about essentially the same shit from the
Mhm.
50s and the 60s and the 80s and the
Yeah.
90s. Like this is not a new thing, which is both good and bad. Good in the sense that we have the evidence to just stop it. Like it sounds so stupid, but it just
Mhm.
fucking stop. You ever see the Cosby Show?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's this episode with Rudy. I think she directed that fucking shit because it's such a shitty episode. But it was when there were like drawings. They were Rudy's drawings, and then that's what it's dumb. It's so fucking dumb.
Yeah.
This is where I'm at in my life right now. But her thing was to the bad guys, like, just stop it. And then they just stopped it. Like, but just stop it.
Just
And
stop.
sometimes I feel like just going on the internet and fucking shutting shit down, be like, just stop it.
Yeah.
Just fucking stop it. Because it's retarded what humans fall into. But to your point, it's not unique. We
Yeah.
can get through this. It'll be all right. It's your life wasn't directly affected by this.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think so, anyways. I might be
Another
wrong.
part of it I think that was, difficult was that it was so graphic. Like, I heard that Charlie Kirk was shot and then saw a video of it happening within 10 seconds of hearing about it,
Yeah, I
which
sent you
is
the text. I was like, "Hey, your homeboy Charlie," because I thought you
yeah.
followed him.
So I went to my news source and I just hit the button and, like, I'm watching a video of it happening within, like, 10 seconds
Yeah,
because you told me.
yeah.
And so that's kinda weird that you would hear news like that and then, like, be able to access video of it. I mean, he'd probably been shot, like, 10 or 15 minutes before you sent me that text. So, I'm watching it just moments after it happened, and it
Yeah.
was graphic, right? And I've seen a lot of graphic things happen online and a couple in person, but I think it was disturbing because, like, the speed of information and that quality of information. Um,
Oh, that shit was HD, dude.
yeah, and I'm trying to, like, pull some kind of weird lesson from this, but I think you have to remember the impact that these things can have on you if you are overexposed to them,
Yeah.
you know? You have to be able to separate yourself and take a step back and be like, "Okay, that did happen, but just remember it didn't happen to me, and it didn't happen to anybody I know. And that doesn't mean it doesn't matter, but
Correct.
it does mean it doesn't have to affect you in the same way as if it was a family
Correct.
member.
Correct.
So, um,
Correct.
my wife lost a family member last week. Not anybody we've talked about, just,
Yeah.
um and it was kinda sudden. It
You
was
you
like
would tell me like that.
yeah. I mean, when I say it, it's like, it's nobody you know.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Uh,
I
yeah.
get it. Yeah, yeah.
Uh, and our family lost a family friend a few weeks ago. Um, combination of stroke and dementia. And
Yeah.
it was kind of quick. Like this person was relatively okay and then quickly downhill and passed away. And I lost my best friend back in June. And see, hear me, I can't get Jew out of my mind. Oh, Jew.
It's the Jews that killed him, dude. It wasn't
Jews.
him.
The Jews did it. Um, and these all affected me like hard, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and then I watched what happened to Charlie Kirk, and I'm like, okay, but that wasn't a family member. I have to like let that go,
Yeah.
that even though it was graphic and crazy, like I can't let that affect me the way this other stuff is
Correct.
affecting me,
The important stuff.
the importance.
Again, it sounds so fucked to say it,
Hmm.
but it's important to me.
Right.
Like, that's what I'm talking about. It's important to community, it's important to whatever. Again, I couldn't give 2 fucks whether you liked him or you didn't like him.
Hmm.
It it's it affected, like, for me, it was just his kids were there, his wife was there, like, all
Yeah.
that shit. Humans who have nothing to do with what he says.
Hmm.
Like, his kids may grow up and be like, "Yeah, I agree with you. My dad was a piece of shit, racist, bigot, whatever." Like, but that's besides the point. Like,
Hmm.
it still happened in front of his fucking kids. Um, it
But
was just it
if
was
you
just
care about him the way that you care about your family, that means that you have to care about everything else
oh, yeah.
about him
Yeah.
and what happened in the aftermath. You have to attach yourself to all of that, and you
Yeah.
can't do that
You
and
can't.
stay sane.
You can't. You just can't. Shit. I mentioned this in the video that you and I both don't like.
The the uncomfortable.
The uncomfortable conversation of me fucking being such a depressed fucking human is you cannot even be overwhelmed with people you do care about, because
Yeah,
then it would just bring you down,
yeah,
right? Like, it's one of the things that I hope that video, and that's why I haven't taken it down. I hope it highlights this idea of I can't be available 24/7, nor can I expect humans around me to be available at any time I fucking feel sad
mhm.
or whatever. It just we're all trying to just not fucking lose it.
I think if you really think about it, you can't even be there for yourself 100% of the time.
Dude,
Like,
dude,
you need a break from thinking about what's going on with you.
and I wake up to myself with a heart on.
Mhm.
So, like, it's fucking boom, and, like, that's how much I love myself, and even always hard. Uh,
I didn't realize that that's the purpose of that.
yeah,
Okay. Now it makes sense.
yeah. And,
I have a funny story about that, actually. It's kind of an aside. Um, but, when I was, like, 12, 13, I was like, "What the hell is going on with"
what is
you know, "why do I wake up, like, rock hard every morning?" Is there something wrong with me? And then Beavis and Butthead did an episode about it.
that's how you learned about it?
Well, I that's how I was hoping to learn about it, because I was like, "We're gonna get the answer. I'm gonna get the answer from Beavis and Butthead." And if I remember right, in the episode, they tried to stay up all night to see what actually happened, and then they both fell asleep, and they woke up, and they never got their answer, and I was like, "Ah, this is what life was like before Google, man."
This is why we wrote better rap songs back then and had better rock and had better fucking country or whatever the fuck you listen to. Ah,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
but
Ah,
yeah, like, you have to get outside your own head sometimes just so that you don't go insane.
yeah,
Um And so taking on other people's burdens and problems, like, you have to manage that. But it
have to.
feels like you're saying I don't care,
For
you
me?
know? No, I mean, I'm just saying in general, like, if
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, I care about you and everything, but I can't do this thing for you. It's like, I can't be there for you in this moment, in this way,
Well,
because
and there has to this is the shitty thing about it, that, like, there has to be value.
Mhm,
Like, when you and I met with Kirsten the very first time, um, to talk about the idea that I had for end users and the thing that we wanna do with instructors and shit like that. And one of the things that kinda stuck with me and I didn't even think about was this idea of creating a space where people are just there to fucking bitch and whine and complain instead of actually be productive. And
mhm,
so it's that, right? Like it's cool. I answer your call. I come help you. I come do whatever. But like, is there going to be value here? It's not
mhm.
that it's not important, but if we're just doing this just so that you can continue doing it, right? You're becoming a enabler at that point. Just like that's not healthy for anyone. Like
Yeah,
not even a little bit. So
yeah.
it's it is a balancing act of trying to separate the emotion of I just seen something grotesque
Mhm.
and I feel sad about it, but I still need to go pay the bills. I still need to make sure I'm okay. Because the alternative is what we're seeing on the internet is everybody just hating each other over a dude that died.
Yeah. And
Um,
I can imagine that quite a bit of people will, and we'll just like grossly oversimplify it, on the right who are upset about the reaction from the left is because they're feeling this overwhelming trauma from seeing something that they over identify with gruesomely slaughtered on
oh yeah,
video right in
they
front of them.
killed their views.
Right.
They killed their morals, their whatever.
In a horrifically graphic way,
Yeah,
you
you
know.
killed me. You killed
Yeah.
like literally you fucking killed me basically.
Yeah. And
Um,
actually, I mean, it's been studied that, to some degree, when you identify with something else, you in fact you feel pain in the way that that other thing feels pain. And this has been demonstrated in a lot of weird ways. One of them was the hand experiment, where
oh yeah,
they take that fake hand and they put it
correct.
where your hand would be on the table, and they kind of introduce the idea that this is your hand. And then after they fully introduce the idea, then they smash it with a hammer.
Yeah, they did that with octopi, and it happens to them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, if we're 1% smarter than the, apes, I think we're about half a percent
Half
smarter than
everything.
the oct
Not much.
and it's not an excuse for the way the right has responded to this, and it's definitely not an excuse for the way the left has responded to this, but you have to
Yeah.
understand that you are dealing with people who are, like, immature on both sides, you know? Um, and people in general, like, people in groups tend to act that way. Uh, and that's why you gotta be careful with groups, because they tend to come down to that lowest common denominator. In order to stay a group, in my mind, it seems like you need to hang on to something that keeps you together. And so we're just gonna keep drilling down until there's something we can agree on, and then we're a group.
And then look at most successful and add success however you want, right? Like,
Mhm,
I quantify, qualify success however you want. I don't mean rich. I mean just successful. Whatever that means to you. If you look at most successful humans, their circle is fucking tiny.
mhm. Yeah.
'Cause less bullshit,
Mhm,
less I don't have time to deal with all of that. I'm not I don't have time for me versus you. I don't have time for and there's friendly stuff. There's like, let's push each other, but like we're trying to make each other better.
mhm.
Not and it's what we're seeing is fuck the other side. I want the other side to die. The other side sucks. They should die.
Yeah,
It's fucking weird, dude.
yeah. Alright, let's change gears for a
Change
second.
gears.
This is according to, like, there's another podcast I listen to, and they would call this an entremont, which is a brief pause between courses, to refresh your palate. Um, on the topic of training state mandated training and state mandated training requirements producing the effect of lowest common denominator. Uh, one of
Bam,
the
bam,
big
bam, bam.
shooting ranges around here, and I'm going to go ahead and name them because this is not a secret. This is going out in their marketing emails. They're doing a $50 concealed handgun permit 2-hour renewal, and they're advertising it as the lowest price in town. That is not true.
Not true.
Guns for Everyone is the lowest price in town. If
What
you
is
want
our
it to
price?
be,
What is our price?
our price is free.
What?
Um,
I think that's lower than 50. I
it could
think.
be more though. I mean, if you wanted to donate $500, then ours is 10 times what Magnum is. The other part of that is, what do you have to cover in the 2-hour renewal course?
Updated laws from the past 5 years,
For state and federal.
state and federal. You have to cover safe storage. You have to cover interacting with law enforcement. You have to cover transportation of the firearms, and then safe handling and shooting and all that,
And conduct the written test.
and then do the written test
And conduct the
and the live
shooting
fire.
test.
Yeah,
And fire at least 50 rounds.
yeah.
And cover ERPOs.
Oh, ERPOs. I forgot ERP. There's no way you can do all of that shit in 2 hours.
So if they're doing it in 2 hours, they're not doing any part of that
None.
well. And I'm not blaming them. I'm not getting down on them about this. But it
We're talking about the law.
right.
Yeah.
Talking about the law. I am just pointing out that here we are, 2 months after the law went into effect, and we're already seeing plenty of examples and evidence of lowest common denominator training.
Correct.
Oh, we're doing a staccato?
Yeah.
Oh, I knew that. I think I did knew that.
Yeah,
Is your link correct? It says funds fundraiser.
oh, fundraisers. Look at that. This is why we keep white people around.
I was like, that doesn't look right, but I can't figure it out right away. You know, the business is going downhill. The business of training and the business of selling guns is going downhill. And I certainly don't blame Magnum Shooting Center for trying to keep the revenue flowing in order to stay open.
Correct.
And so if you can advertise a $50 class and you can get people to show up and pay the bills, I get it from that point of view.
Correct.
But it's obvious that the law has created the element of the lowest common denominator. And it's kind of funny because I would say that simultaneously, when people show up to a renewal class, they both A, don't believe it's real training, and B, if they can perform it, they consider themselves trained.
Correct.
So
you talked about some numbers, and well, we should finish this thought first.
yeah. Well, let me go back to what Noodles just said here. Just because someone on the right felt compassion for Mr. Kirk doesn't mean they over-identify him. That's not what we're talking about. I felt compassion for him. I felt compassion for his family. We're talking about over-identifying with him as an identity, and that if Mr. Kirk was killed, you felt on some subconscious psychological level that you were killed, and that that you use that as a reason to hate people on whatever side you think is the opposite of that side,
And already looking for who to hate,
and looking for who to hate. Predetermining who is to blame for what happened, and aligning all of your perceptions of the evidence or lack of evidence towards that thing. So I felt compassion when I'm gonna probably make myself sound pretty stupid right now, but I watched the Kyle Rittenhouse shootings happen live. I had the streams up. I was watching it. And when I saw Joseph Rosenbaum get smoked, and part of the live stream was a bunch of people trying to help him, and you could hear a sucking chest wound, and you could see a head wound, and you could tell that this guy was dying. And these people who had just been rioting and causing destruction and everything were trying to keep him alive. I felt compassion for him in that moment.
In that moment.
In that moment, that dude is a human being, and he was a chomo, which I didn't know at the moment. Um, and he
Yeah, we're
was
not saying you feel compassion now.
no, but
In the moment.
yeah, but my point is that when you don't have to know somebody to care in the moment about
Correct,
what's happening to them.
correct,
Um, it's just you have to understand, like, at what point do you stop working in that emotional brain and start working in your frontal lobe to
correct,
say what is a responsible human way to respond to this, as opposed to what is my lizard brain telling me to do right now?
correct.
Because your
Yeah.
lizard brain wants to over identify, and your
Yeah, yeah,
lizard
we're
brain wants
tribalistic. We're
right, it wants to
tribalistic.
reinforce the tribalism, that in some circumstances helps the tribe survive, but in a civilized society, you've got to really work on keeping that thing on a leash,
Yeah,
because it can run away real quick.
correct.
So, but thanks for the comment. So, don't think the majority of the right. There's no way to know if the majority of the right feels that way or not. All we can go off of is what we see online
On the
and the
online, yeah,
individual conversations we have with the people around us,
correct,
and you can't measure that across things. So maybe the majority of the right doesn't feel that way, but certainly the people who are speaking about it online,
correct.
um, that's where the attention seems to be focusing on, from the president all the way down to the random people who have 10 followers on Twitter. Uh,
Yeah,
so, because
I have
otherwise we'd be
20.
talking about how unified we are right now.
Correct.
If it wasn't that way, we'd be talking about what an amazing world we live in, where all the people want to get along. But that is not what we're seeing.
Not even a little bit, dude.
Yeah. Um,
I it's we're back at it again. We're the fucking redheaded stepchildren in a fucking divorce. I think you and I, because we don't subscribe to either the left or the right.
yeah.
So it's been interesting to see the division in the family, where like the right and the left, they've never really gotten along. I get it. I understand they have their differences,
Hmm.
but now it's like fucking out for blood on the internet.
Yeah.
On the
On the
internet.
internet.
On the internet.
Uh, yeah. My favorite part of that whole thing is all the people who are like on the left who are saying, "Can you do this person next? Can you do this person next?"
Yeah.
Like, why don't you do it?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. If you
Like, come on. Like, that is the most ridiculous, cowardly response.
correct,
Can you
correct.
do this person next?
Yeah. You
Like,
do it.
and I've seen people on the right do it too, but right now it's happening on the left. So,
Correct.
um,
And by the way, next tragedy, the roles are gonna reverse.
oh yeah, you're gonna
It
be you're gonna be hearing about all the people saying that the right needs to. Now I'm confused. Now I'm so confused about who supports free speech right now and who doesn't. I can't. I literally have lost the plot, and I can't picture what it's going to look like when it switches, because I can't remember who's arguing what right now. So,
It's
um,
hilarious.
yeah, because Jimmy Kimmel is yelling free speech right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Okay. So it'll be
But
next.
now when Roseanne got
Yeah.
canned.
Yeah. And not when Tim Allen got canceled, and
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, that's why at this point I just don't care. So Joseph says, don't all the other states have a statewide shooting test? No, in fact, there are 27 or 28 constitutional carry
We
states.
got gun websites on here, so that motherfucker knows everything. I think
Yeah,
it's 28 though. Gun websites can probably confirm this because he's the walking encyclopedia of all this stuff.
yeah.
Um, and I believe it's 28 now though.
So no shooting test to carry a gun, but in most of those states, not all of them, but in most of them, uh, you can get a permit if you want to.
Yeah.
And then they have varying training requirements, all the way. Like Texas has probably some of the strictest training requirements of a constitutional carry state in order to get a concealed carry permit. I don't know what Arizona's is. I want to say, um, yeah. Now it's cool for the right to cancel anyone. Now it will, if it's not right now, it will be soon. So, uh, There's always hope. Um, so I think you know Arizona's training requirements. I know you know
Ari
Wyoming's training requirements.
Arizona, it doesn't really it's basically just go apply.
Okay.
Gun
Um,
websites, I think gun websites is in Arizona, so I think he can, confirm that
okay.
100%.
Wyoming's training requirements are essentially the same as what Colorado's
Used to be, yeah.
used to be.
Yeah,
Take a
so
training class.
every state is every in fact, taking a test to get a permit is now the rare thing,
Yeah.
not the common thing.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I think it's Washington where it's no class is required. Or if it's not that right now, it was that. So,
No, Washington State got bad.
yeah, okay, so prior to Washington getting bad, there was no class required, you just go in and
Correct.
get a permit, just like Georgia.
And PA
Yeah.
does that too, where no
So,
class, just go get the permit.
yeah. The statewide shooting test thing is a new phenomenon in Colorado, and it's, like Edgar said, a rare thing in the country on the whole.
Yeah.
But, you know who does have it is Texas.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, gun websites. Are you in Arizona? Um, so yeah, some would say turnabout is fair play. Absolutely. Some people would say that.
Some people
Um,
would say.
that's not exactly how civilization was built, though. That's not how we got to where we are now. That's how I'm going to say something that is un. What's the word I'm looking for? Is um insensitive. But that is how the Islamic Sharia law works. Turnabout is fair play. Um, eye for an eye. The civilized world says we have a judicial system that tries to take the um, passion and emotion out of the process and hold people accountable without turnabout as fair play.
Emphasis
So
on the tries to.
tries to, yeah.
Tries to.
So, um, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, in some contexts that works fine, and in others, it brings down civilization. So,
Well,
um,
um, with because that comment, it fucking kicked it off, and I'm just gonna. So my family on my dad's side has a tendency to be involved in criminal enterprise, so to speak. And one of the things that some of my family members who are deep into the family, or not the family enterprise, but criminal enterprises down in Mexico, in spite of what you see in the news, always argue is we actually always try and resolve things without having to go to war, because then it becomes never ending. It becomes this, well, you killed my kid and I killed your kid, and it's always a constant thing. It is better for business to not be in a fight, because if we're not fighting with each other, we get to sell our product, we get to sell our services, we get to sell, extort, do all that shit. But if I'm fighting you, all I'm worried about is fighting you, and all of my resources go to fighting you, and I cannot be fruitful, I cannot be successful, I cannot be. There's no benefit in a constant back and forth, tit for tat, none whatsoever.
and so that doesn't rule out the necessity
Oh,
of
for sure,
violence, and I don't
for
mean
sure,
like cartel violence. I just mean in the world. It
for
doesn't
sure,
rule out the necessity of violence, but violence should be conserved for when it becomes absolutely necessary because it is so costly. Um,
for sure.
and
Yeah,
like
we all know the cliche, right? The warrior in the garden versus the gardener in the war. Like
right.
yeah, absolutely.
So I think a lot of times people hear that as like, oh, kumbaya, we can all hold hands. Like, no, sometimes we can't hold hands, but if we can hold hands, we should try
We should try it.
because
Yeah,
it gets really expensive when we don't hold hands.
super.
Yeah.
And I ain't got
Um,
no money, so
Yeah, I can't afford that right now. And then like to kind of bring it back to that emotionality thing, like you have a finite amount of emotional bandwidth. And is that really how you want to spend it if you don't have to? Do you really want to give it to? Do you want to give your emotional bandwidth to Keith Olbermann when it's your family that needs it?
Yeah.
You know, um, so that guy's gonna die alone anyway. You don't have anything to worry about.
Who's that guy?
He's just some talking head, but he's like he. It's actually kind of funny when you listen to him because he's so unhinged, and you're just like, "Wow, I can't believe this is a real human being. He's so crazy," and so. But he definitely tees off like the hardest I think of anybody on TV. So,
That's
um,
funny.
so this idea of getting back to the standardized training and standardized training requirements, we have another problem with this concept, which is how do we teach the standards? Not just lowest common denominator. You'd be like, take that whole segment of the market out, a whole segment of the lowest common denominator. Let's check the box, shoot your 50 rounds. Let's say that people are actually trying to train you how to do it. Now that there's a standard, we're going to try to train you to effectively meet that standard. The standard is a shooting test of scoring 70% or better. And I get to determine what the test is. But let's say I wanted to actually train you how to shoot the target and be like, no, 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 this isn't just minimum requirements. Like, I want to actually teach you how to do this. The way you train for that affects the way that somebody does or does not perform when they need that skill. So let's take an area where we already have standards that we can use to demonstrate competency, which would be competition.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this because in the conversations I've been having with arguing with people, and I finally figured out why I'm doing this. I understand it now. I got it. And I'll talk about it later maybe. But I continually go online to argue with people about this stuff. And one of the common themes coming back and back and back on how concealed carriers should be held to a standard is the competition standard. What are the IDPA standards? What are the IPSC standards or USPCA, USPSA? What are their standards? What is an attainable standard for most people? Let's make that the standard.
Stupid.
So why is it stupid?
For concealed carriers?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because it's staged, it's choreographed. It does not allow for the variables. It does not allow for chaos. It does not. It is not a realistic way to measure a human being's ability to perform in a real world scenario, and there is no way to measure that because that situation is going to be very unique to that very specific moment. That's it. You can't measure.
So the argument that comes back is, well, shooting is shooting. So
But
yeah,
we're not arguing about the shooting. We're arguing
yeah.
about how the
Well,
brain
so
reacts.
but the thing is like, shooting is not shooting. That's like saying driving is driving. That's not true. Driving is not just driving. What is the context are you doing that in? So, I was watching F1, and F1 is not a realistic movie about Formula One racing, but it is a movie about Formula One racing. And that movie shows in context what makes a successful driver in
Yeah,
that context,
in the
doing things that you would never do on a highway or a city street.
for sure. And I'm 100% with gun websites.
Mhm.
I'm not. I won't do it because it's detrimental to other students. But if I see a 60-year-old lady with arthritis, like every single time, I'm like, I'm just gonna give you the certificate. You go and be merry,
Yeah.
uh, because it's retarded that that lady's there.
No, no,
Uh,
no, she needs to be on the range for 4 hours. She needs to be on her feet in the sun,
listen,
racking the slide, 50 times, or not 50 times, but let's just say a
by
dozen times.
force, not voluntarily.
Yeah, not
By
voluntary, by
force,
force. Uh, you know, and she definitely needs to shoot a bill drill in under 4 seconds.
4 seconds.
Yeah.
And El Presidente, you gotta fucking squeeze in El Presidente for
Gotta
her
get the El
because
Presidente 10 yards. Like no cheating at 7 yards. We gotta get 10 yards. Um, and this is the thing is because, like, when you start introducing standards and you start falling into this logic of this is what everybody should like, what is the point of a standard if we're not gonna hold everybody to it, right? So when you and if you look at these conversations, you would say, at a minimum, concealed carry permit holders should be able to do this or should try to be able to do this. And so, yeah, the question is, everybody? Are you sure about that? Everybody. I mean, we've had people in our classes, who are, basically barely functioning human beings, and they can handle a gun, not as well as somebody who's got all their abilities, but they can handle a gun, and they certainly have a right to do it,
For
and
real.
they're trying, according to what we can see, to be responsible,
Yeah.
you know? Um, and then you got people who, you're like, "Oh, yeah, you got it figured out. You've been around guns your whole life," and then they, because of the lack of learning attitude, they can't apply any of the skill that they're being taught. Like,
That
"Well, I
gets
already know how to
proven
shoot."
that gets proven more and more
Mhm.
on the range all the time.
Yeah.
And it fucking fills me with joy going back to the it feels good to be vengeful.
Mhm.
It feels so awesome to be like, "Who's new in class? Who's never shot a gun before?" And like, you see how fucking retarded this person is, and they've been shooting their whole life. Like, you don't worry about you being new because the
Yeah.
retard who's been doing it their whole life sucks more than you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's becoming more and more, consistent, so it's yeah,
Well, you get more and more of these people who now they have to be there, and I don't agree with that, but
correct.
this is going to change your samples.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, for sure.
um, I had in my last class a woman, who quit the class after the first string of fire, and her reason was that it was, traumatizing. It was bringing up trauma for her.
Yeah.
She told me that one of her kids had committed
Oh,
suicide,
yeah,
and she was already feeling unsure of herself
yeah,
before she even started. And I think part of the reason why she felt unsure of herself was she felt like she needed affirmation that she could do what she was about to try to do,
yeah.
and she wasn't going to get it because her husband wasn't there with her. Her husband was supposed to be there with her, and
Oh,
he couldn't come.
yeah.
But you add the trauma thing on top of that, and, like, she tried and she couldn't do it. Am I supposed to tell her that she's not qualified to
Correct, to defend
defend
herself.
herself
Yeah,
with a firearm
yeah.
because she was like, "Well, I'm sorry, you didn't do the bill
I
drill."
in fact in fact, was actually being responsible and
Mhm.
saying, "Because of traumas, I don't think this is correct for me to do right now."
Yeah,
Like, that is a responsible human being
right. But
instead of
can't
just say
can't do an El Presidente, so I don't
so
care. Can't meet the standard, shouldn't be handling a firearm. Um, and and so, like, because we are doing these classes, so often and stuff, we're seeing this, and I always want to try to be careful that I am not doing the thing that we talked about earlier, which is starting from conclusion and looking for
correct.
evidence. I'm trying not to do that. Um, I'm trying to be aware of that possibility. I think everybody does it to some degree. I don't think you can really get around that. Uh, but it seems to me that the the more I apply the things that I've learned, the easier it is to identify what is working and what is not working. So, for instance, uh, the IDS program intentionally, the intuitive defensive shooting program intentionally does not, at the beginning of the class, does not sit there and survey everybody and ask them what their experience level is with a firearm, because psychologically it starts to change what's about to happen in the class,
Correct.
right? And I get people who come up to me and they'll tell me, "I don't know anything about guns." And I say, "I don't care. You are going to be fine in the class." And they don't believe me. And that's okay. I'm not going to continue to make a thing about it. But I have seen so many times in the last several months people who have no confidence in what they're doing, who are afraid of being judged, who are afraid of not being able to perform, start out really terrible. And then I'm not giving them any more attention than they absolutely need. And they start to develop the ability to apply what I'm asking them to do. And by the end of the class, they're just like in shock at how proficient they got in 2 hours of shooting.
This is why I love the um, deviation control drill,
Mhm.
um, because it kind of highlights that. Like the problem isn't the shooting, because again, going back to shooting is easy. Like that's
Mhm.
we're not worried about the shooting. You can say shooting is shooting, and we can debate that and give science and all that shit. But we're worried about where your brain is at and where it's gonna be at when you actually need to do the shooting. And
Mhm.
that dynamic deviation control drill kind of highlights this. It's your brain telling you you suck,
Mhm.
so therefore it is. Instead of you just fucking just doing it,
Yeah.
let your body do what it knows what to do.
Right.
It's a weird thing.
So if I were to take these people who were just starting out, who are nervous and insecure and worried about performance and worried about judgment, and say you need to be able to do a bill drill in under 5 seconds, and I'm going to demonstrate it, and then I want you to do it. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if half of them wouldn't be able to do it, because I've established from the outset the standard of what you need to be able to do, and you already don't think you belong out here, let alone going to be able to do what I'm asking you to do. Rather, taking this person and say, we don't have a performance standard out here. Your goal is to get better out here. Your goal is to listen to what I'm saying and try to apply it and try to get better at what I'm asking you to do.
For legal reasons, we do test you,
Yeah, I mean, I
but
tell everybody at the beginning there's going to be
I
a test.
I'm testing you off of the
Mhm.
stuff that I know needs to be tested.
Yeah.
Shay, how many times have you had people in the when they're doing the written test and freak the fuck out? Like they're so fucking nervous. Like just pay attention to the information, and
Mhm.
then they don't even receive the information because the only thing they're worried about is, can I pass this test? I
Mhm.
suck at test taking. Can I
Yeah.
pass this test? Like it has genuinely created a dangerous situation. It's not a positive one.
Right.
This is not good.
Yeah. So I make it a point to tell people um, at the beginning of the class and at the end of the class, being able to pass a test does not mean you are proficient, and not being able to pass a test doesn't mean you are not proficient.
Correct.
Don't take that. Like, understand that when we do these things, we are stepping outside of what learning is, and we're stepping outside of what responsible gun ownership is. And you are checking off a couple government boxes, but don't confuse that with what we're doing out here.
Correct.
And people still do it. People
Yeah.
still confuse it with it because they've been conditioned to think that way about testing and standards and things like that. Um, so Joseph said the IDPA classifier is not a good indicator of one's ability to use deadly force in a self-defense situation. Having not actually done the IDPA classifier, I don't have any context for what that is, but I do know that choreographing a response to a known and non-surprising situation where nobody's trying to kill you in no way represents the opposite of that, a surprising and chaotic and threatening situation. So, um, yeah, I
Yeah.
would agree with that statement, but I'm going to add the caveat. If somebody asked me what the IDPA classifier is, I could not answer that question.
Don't know. Yeah. Correct.
So,
Correct.
um, but that kind of brings me to something else I wanted to talk about, which is, and this kind of goes back to, like, I grew up around guns, or the other one you hear, I spent 10 years in the military. I was in infantry. Like, let's give somebody the benefit of the doubt. They were trigger Tom. Like, they went on patrols. They had their M4s. They had their squads, right? And they like, I was in military, and so therefore I understand how to apply these skills. Um, we talk about in our classes the body's natural responses to a threat. When the brain perceives a threat that rises to the level of what the brain thinks is a deadly threat, the body responds in a bunch of different ways, which is very different from an offensive uh,
Right.
offensive
Anticipation
plan.
to need. Yeah.
Yeah. And once something that occurred to me recently was like, the whole gangbanger thing where they turn the gun sideways. I mean, we
Oh,
say
yeah.
that. We say that. They turn the gun sideways. I've been paying attention to this lately, and I I can't prove this yet, but it seems to me that the gun gets turned sideways in the offensive shooting,
Not the defensive.
not the defensive shooting.
Yeah.
The defensive shooting, the gun goes into a more intuitive presentation of the gun, which is the gun is more upright and more
Right.
in line with the line of sight. Not always. You can definitely find defensive shooting where the body's responding with an incomplete extension of the arm.
And I think that's where people get hung up on. See that one time out of
Yeah,
1,000, so therefore, and instead of like, yeah, but like we're talking about a great majority, right? Where we're talking about this is where in all science, this is oh shit, we can find a consistent, provable data or observable data to
yeah.
something happening.
So let me share an example of the outlier. Hold on, let me window. Window? Yeah. Okay. Here we go. I'm gonna turn the volume down so that if I can. Oh, there we go. It's right there. No, I'll leave the
Boom.
volume up. Maybe you guys can
This
hear
is
me.
Brazil.
It has to be, right?
Has to be. It looks like Brazil.
All right. So we got a robbery going on here, and we got the guy in the red shirt, and we got this guy right here in the white shorts.
Oh, he looks like he's about to pull his dick out.
He's like, "It's finally happening." All right. So, like right here,
What a
we
shitty draw,
call this
by the way.
what's that?
What a shitty draw.
Oh, I mean, it took a long time, and he was not
He
chambered.
he's
There.
lucky that dude had a helmet on.
Yeah. All right. So here's chambering,
Yeah.
and then once he gets to the chambered, actually, I might say he's actually at full extension here.
Yeah, yeah, that's full extension. If he was in a class, we would accept that as full extension.
Right.
Yeah,
It looks weird because he's laying on his side, so he's
correct.
balance issues. Um,
But
like his
the gun isn't sideways.
yeah, his limbs
I
are moving to maintain balance, so I think that's partly why you're seeing that.
I would argue that he should have 2 hands on the gun, but whatever. I think he was trying to protect himself from
Yeah, I
the
mean, that
incoming
arm
bullet.
stays out in that protective posture.
Yeah. That motherfucker goes limp.
Yeah. By the way, if you want, this is my own personal opinion, but one of the best values of watching videos like this is learning how to identify behavior from the bad guy that indicates that they are done fighting, and that's pretty.
That's a pretty good indicator.
That's a pretty good indicator. When his toes are pointed like a ballerina, that's a pretty good indicator right there. Uh, Yeah, look at his toes staying planted on the ground as the rest of him goes
Just
down.
collapses.
Um, but we've got defensive shooting here that is, not using the sights.
No, no, he used the sights. You just
Oh,
don't know it.
he saw a flash sight picture. He must have. Otherwise,
Yeah,
how would he get his
flashlight
hit?
picture,
Yeah.
and then also he went to the wall.
Oh, yeah, and
Yeah,
and broke the wall.
broke the wall. So he
Yeah.
went to the wall, he broke the wall. Every single shot, he went to the wall and then broke the wall.
Yeah.
And then he did that in his sub 1 second draw.
All right, well,
I
let's
will say his fucking assessment. I
how
know it for people that don't get outside of the range, his
mhm.
fucking assessment. I haven't seen the whole video yet.
Yeah.
But if he's doing what I think he's doing, that's fucking incredible. Because this motherfucker's like, who else is out there? I don't know if I agree with how he did it, but the fact that he did it
Yeah.
and he's looking for the second guy
Yep.
is pretty fucking great.
Well, I mean, I would say, my guess would be, I can't prove this. My guess would be is typically this kind of stuff happens in
In
groups,
pairs. Yeah, in groups. Yeah.
at least groups of 2,
Yeah.
especially when the guy's wearing a motorcycle helmet. There's probably somebody else, he's probably thinking there's somebody else on a motorcycle. Um, but regardless, like that's, he gets up and goes into that assessment, and he goes to the direction that he thinks that information is going to come from.
We need to save this and send it to Pincus because you know how formal he is in his dress. Uh,
Yeah.
so this shit, he's in his fucking flip flops.
He's in his
He.
slides.
This
Yeah.
is one of the things that he and I have discussed from time to time. Is like you can't do it in your slides. They're just gonna get in the way. I was like, no, motherfucker, you can't do it in the slides.
Yeah. Let's go back to the gunshots real quick and see everybody go into their. So
That's
she jumped. She's lowering her center of gravity. He is
Did
lowering
she
center of
jump or
gravity.
did she like lower her center of gravity? Her shoulders went down.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I flinched is what I meant to say.
Okay.
Yeah, hands going up in the protective posture, flinching. This guy is doing the same thing, and he's actually moving. He gets up immediately
Yeah.
and starts moving. Let's go back to this guy right
Oh yeah.
here.
That was a big fucking startle. Look at that shit.
Dude, he's lucky he
Ah!
didn't clock his face on that drawer.
Oh, but he does it in response to not a gunshot, but the dude pointing a gun at him.
Yes. Yeah. All right, let's go back a little bit further. All right, so he's down right now, and then he stands up, and that gun gets pointed,
Ah!
and he ducks.
Which actually gave that dude time to fucking go to his gun.
Yeah.
This is why you don't. I had that fucking Marine, right? And it was like, you're teaching people to safety off and keep one in the chamber. I was like, boom, there you go. Here's
Well,
another.
that guy's been in the military his whole life. He knows everything about every firearm.
She,
She knows
she,
everything about every firearm.
every firearm, every fight, everything.
Mhm.
I bet you if we asked her what her MOS was, she's gonna be like, I was a cook.
Motor pool. Um, yeah. So, anyway, um, great examples of great humans doing great things.
Yeah, buddy.
But, yeah, so, like, trying to avoid the whole conclusion in search of evidence, I do continue to see things in the class that reinforce, uh, the principles in the IDS program, everything from the psychological principles to the shooting principles to all of that stuff. Um, and I think.
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead.
It's unfortunate that that Pincus and I are an acquired taste, and that people will automatically hate the program because they hate Pincus
Mhm.
instead of just understanding that this is not a Pincus thing. Like
Mhm.
Pincus will tell you himself, I put the shit together, but this is science. I can't create science. I didn't come up with IDS. I assembled it.
Yeah.
And
I
from
think I think Pincus's real, um, credit belongs in his determination and conviction to organize the program according to that information,
correct.
and how the standards, to use the word standards, the high standards he holds the instructors to and himself
Yeah,
to maintain the integrity of the program.
correct.
Um, and he's not even unique in that. It's just, it's the information that he has gathered paired with the conviction to establish a program with integrity around that information. And I think that when people talk about like, oh, Pincus is a jerk or Edgar's a jerk, it's like the real problem you have is with reality. Actually, in the debrief I did on Saturday, I had somebody, like I keep running into a problem where I'm running out of time at the end of the debrief. And for those of you who don't know, the debrief at the end of the class is a chance for feedback back and forth between the instructor and the student. And the student is encouraged to provide criticism. Not everybody can provide criticism, but generally speaking, if I push you, you can criticize something that happened out here today. And you might be wrong, but the chances that we agreed on everything I said out here is like almost zero. So if I push you to do it, you can do it. But because we're running out of time, I kind of just open the forum up and I'm trying to get the ball rolling and see if the conversation will start. And one woman said, "I really appreciated how patient you were, and that you weren't mean." And I said, "Actually, that's a shortcoming on my part.
I'm working on it.
I'm working on it." And I said, "You like how I turned your positive feedback into criticism?" And I said, there is a time and place for us to not be nice out here. And if I was nice when I shouldn't have been, then that is a shortcoming on my part. That's not the program. I try to tell people there's a difference between you criticizing the what of what we're doing out here versus the how of how I'm doing it. Am I doing a good job of presenting it? But that would be a how question. Am I doing it right? And if your feedback to me was that I was nice to you out here, then I didn't do a good job. And it's not that I'm supposed to be like a jerk about it,
Correct.
but the program is not designed for the instructors to be nice. It's designed for them to be effective.
Correct.
And so, but that's, again, you have like, why is Pincus being a jerk? Why is Edgar being a jerk? Why is Isaac trying to learn how to be a jerk? It's not because that's the kind of people you are. It's because you're trying to, as much as you can, I think, reflect reality.
Correct.
And so reality doesn't care about your feelings. So reality isn't mean and it's not nice. It's just reality.
It just is.
It just is. So, anyway, I don't know how we got on that topic of, well, you were saying that, it's unfortunate that Edgar and Pincus are an acquired taste, because it affects the way people see the program. But I don't know if it really is a bad thing or a negative thing.
Well, it's for me, it's a negative thing because it's the program that should be widely accepted. Not because it
Do you
has a
think
name attached.
reality is widely accepted?
Correct. Yeah, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
Is this is science? This is dude. I had this. It wasn't an argument, but it was certainly a fucking heated debate in the middle of a
I reject your reality and substitute my own.
substitute my own. And he was very married to the Weaver stance, and I told him this is just not what we teach, and here's why. It's not just because we don't like it; it's because here's why.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "Well, there's a guy a long time ago. He wrote a big book about it," and I was like, "Yeah, his name's Weaver. He's dead now, and we've moved on from that. In fact, he himself wrote several articles towards the end, talking and accepting how context matters and all that stuff. Because that was Weaver is generation one.
Mm-hmm.
Him, Cooper. You could argue to a certain extent, Clint Smith. Clint Smith's probably generation two. I think Givens is Gen 2. Gun websites knows more where they're at in the timeline. But like we've already proven that the Weaver stance for self-defense is not the way to go. That should have been. So we had that spat. And then later he was talking about, well, it's just a habit and it's become an instinct. I was like, that's not how it works, homie.
Mm-hmm.
Like it cannot become an instinct. That's actually the opposite of what an instinct is.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, what do you think an instinct is? I was like, I'll just fucking look it up right now. We have technology. So I looked it
Yeah.
up, and it talks about how it's innate and you're born with it and all that stuff. And then he's like, we talked about the amygdala, and he's like, I've been studying that stuff since way before you were born. He was one of those guys.
Mhm.
I was like, okay, well, explain to me what the amygdala is. It's a fucking part of the brain.
You're like, "Good, you're using yours right now."
I was like, no, but I want to know more. Like, what's the amygdala? Like,
Yeah.
what is it? He's like, well, and then somebody else chimed in. He's like, see, shut the fuck up. You don't know.
Yeah.
Just shut the fuck up. So it turned into one of those. But it was this idea of, even when presented with the reality, we go back to where we started. Even when
Mhm.
presented with the reality, this human's like, I don't care what reality is. I would rather feed my feelings.
Right. Right.
And that is a problem.
Right.
Like that is a big problem. Um, dude, I'm one of the humans that knows that feeding into your feelings is not a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not even a little bit.
Well,
Not
let
even a
me
little
let
bit.
me bounce this, comparison off of you. How many, experienced pilots do you think you've met in your life that you can maybe remember?
Like me personally, not like got off a plane and be like, "Hey, what's up, homie?" Like I actually met.
Yeah, like, you could say you've actually had a conversation with.
I think like actually experienced, that I would say I feel awesome flying with this motherfucker. Maybe 10.
Okay. So 10 of those people, how many of them struck you as emotional people?
In the context of flying,
Like, if in the conversation you're having with them, like, they struck you as somebody who leans more to the emotional
oh, it's
side,
just unstable and yeah,
un
none,
eh, like, to
none.
lack of a better word, unstable,
Yeah, none.
right? Like, you have somebody who's in charge of reality to a pretty high degree because 'cause they're using complex physics for hours and hours a day.
Yeah,
You know, if something goes wrong, uh, there's some laws that you can't negotiate with.
physics.
Yeah, so it doesn't behoove that person to approach problems from any kind of an emotional standpoint, and I don't want an emotional pilot.
Can you imagine Captain Sullivan? Captain Sullivan, well, I prefer
Yeah,
the way I do it.
I read a book one time, right? Like, you I when the rubber meets the road, when things get real, you do not want somebody operating out of their feelings.
No,
Now, that's not something we have a lot of control over. There's probably a reason why most pilots are like that because they probably already started out as people who don't live in their feelings a lot. Because you're not going to get through flight training and you're not going to be a pilot for a long time if you just live in your feelings. So I think maybe it's self-selecting people who don't live in their feelings, but people
yeah,
who rather study and accept and work in the reality of physics and aircraft and flight and all that stuff. Right. So I can't expect everybody who comes to the range to be like not in their feelings. People do live and operate that way.
right,
But you are not going to be a successful person that confronts reality on a daily basis if you live like that.
correct.
Um, and I guess the point I'm trying to make here is like the people who are proficient in that context are the people who don't sit there and be like, I feel like there's a better way to do this. You know, like what is the protocol for a takeoff go around? Let's see if we can fudge that a little bit. What's the like? Because I've done a little bit of research and learning about aviation, and like when you're on the runway and you hit a certain speed, there is no stopping at this point. And if you have a problem, you have to try to fly your way out of that problem
Yeah,
because stopping is going to be a disaster.
yeah,
Trying to fly your way out of the problem is the only chance you have of solving that problem.
correct.
And if you if you try to abandon a takeoff once you get past that certain speed, everybody's gonna die. And you have to live in that reality. You could lose
Correct.
an engine at that point. You still have to try to take off.
Just try and take off.
You could realize your weight is not balanced. You still have to try to take off. And it's like you can't argue with that. If
Well,
you I
well,
mean, you can, but you're so um But at the same time, when people come to the range, we haven't selected those people out.
Yeah.
We haven't, like, there's no vetting process. We could say, "Oh, you can only come to the class if you don't live in your feelings." Um, Most people do live in their feelings.
Yeah.
So we have to be able to talk through that out on the range. Um, but that's complicated. And I think that's when you're talking about standards too, like the IDS training program doesn't have a standard for instructors. There's no shooting test for the instructor. There is a written test, but that's only part of the evaluating criteria. It's,
Correct.
um, the the instructor counselors, or what do you guys call yourselves again?
There's no name for us.
Uh, you have to sit there and watch that person through the class before you can say, "I think that this person can like claim this title,"
Yeah.
of instructor candidate or whatever. Um, and I think the appeal, like I've seen the appeal too. Well, police officers have shooting standards. Yeah, well, maybe they shouldn't.
Maybe they shouldn't. Maybe they
Because a
shouldn't.
police officer who can pass a shooting standard does not mean that that cop should be on the street.
Dude, and how many times have we seen videos where, like, I bet you that wasn't in the fucking training.
Yeah.
I bet you that's not what they taught. And the biggest one for me is when cops get into an ambush situation, their response isn't draw a gun, start firing. Their response is get the fuck out of there, whatever
Mhm.
that means, and then draw a gun and then return fire.
Yeah.
But I promise you at the range, they get taught draw a gun under sub 1 second and then return fire. Like, that's not a reality. The reality is a move comes before drawing the gun. And
Mhm.
generally speaking, it's the lower center of gravity, hands moving protectively in the direction of the line of stimulus,
Mhm.
and then that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's, I think that's what you mean by, like, there shouldn't be a standard, because then the
Yeah.
standard is draw the gun really fast, which may not apply. It could be detrimental to the police officer. We've seen some close calls. You've shared a video that dude and that was shooting the wall and then induced a malfunction because he thought he was clearing a malfunction the way he
Mhm.
would at the range, but it didn't work out in real life. Like, that's what happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
All while his partner is laying on the ground shot.
Shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So the the test, like, this kinda came up for me too because I saw somewhere else. I was trying to find it before the before the podcast started, of a training company talking about what they used to do and what they're doing now. And their attitude was like, we don't consider you trained until we do the A, B, and C with you. And now we just had to add a couple more steps to meet the requirement. I'm like, thinking about it, I'm like, well, I don't really consider an amount of training to determine that you are trained.
Correct.
So, this company is operating up in Northern Colorado, and they've been doing their training for a long time. And a lot of people have talked about them as being like some of the best, but they will not consider you trained until you've passed their test.
Their test.
Their test.
Yeah.
Like,
That's usually MLM fucking type
yeah,
verbiage.
yeah,
It's just like, well, you need to do it my way or else you're not awesome.
right.
And I think it is what it is. That is just how humans create their own little cult. Good for them.
Mhm.
And then just like a good cult leader fucking drains humans of their finite resources,
Yeah,
because it's just like, well, you passed point 0.5 level and then now you need to pass 0.75.
right. And you do see this with shooting schools too, where, well, they'll say you can't take this class until you take that class. You can't do this until you do that. Um, and that's like a general rule. Uh, and I've experienced this myself. I've had conversations with instructors way in the past, like, this is the experience I've had with training. Can I take this class? And they're like, no, you have to take my class before you can take that class. Instead
I,
of
I've
saying,
I've taken I just found it. Here it is. This is the levels. OT1, OT2.
Oh, for cult?
Isn't the this is when you see Xenu? OT3.
Oh, is this Church of Scientology?
Church of Scientology.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, Operating Thetan. Yeah. Um, so, like, I understand the idea of, like, I don't want somebody coming to an advanced course if they can't handle a firearm safely, but I've seen people who don't believe that they can handle a firearm safely, handle one perfectly safely,
Perfectly fine.
and
Yeah,
I've seen people who tell me, swear me up and down that they've been shooting forever and they know how to handle a firearm safely and then can't.
fucking
And
can,
I don't
yeah.
mean don't, I mean it seems like they can't.
Yeah, with the IDS program, if you want to take the other stuff, it's not a step 1, step 2, step 3, is we just want you to understand the information. We want you
Yeah,
to understand the
right.
concepts and
Which yeah, which
principles.
is the problem that I run into in, like, when we get out there on the range and I wanna do the, the range portion of the concealed carry class, and then somebody will ask a question about, cover or concealment. I'm like, "Yeah, we can kinda talk about that, but we have to talk about this first
Correct.
so that you understand why we're saying the next thing."
Yeah,
Um, good so Pink is saying sometimes, there are good reasons to have prerequisites, but I think it needs to be applied thoughtfully within the context of what you're really trying to
correct.
accomplish and not checking boxes for the sake of, well, you can't take pistol 2 until you've taken pistol 1, and um, you can't get our patch until you've, shot this drill in this amount of time. And uh, instead of that more subjective review of that person and say, this is what you need to work on. And this is where, this is proficient enough for now. You should be focusing on this thing. I had this issue with a couple of people on Sunday where they were shooting, these tight groups. And I told them, I want you to speed up your shooting. And then we added movement, and now they can't do anything right. I'm like, I didn't tell you to speed up that stuff. I told you to speed up shooting. Do
Yeah,
the other stuff slow until you get it right, and then get on that trigger and go fast, because they hear
go
in their
fast.
head, like, I have attained this, so now I need to go faster at everything. And it's like, no, 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 you got to listen to what we're saying here. You haven't attained the Jedi, uh, training level yet.
Yeah.
We've identified an area for improvement, and I want you to improve on that thing by doing this, but I don't want you thinking that that makes you, ready for top level on other stuff. Uh,
OT6.
actually,
OT6.
which I went and taught at men's retreat last weekend or the weekend before, and they do not rappelling, they do zip line and shooting, but they're using airsoft.
Yeah,
But apparently, I haven't done it. Apparently, it's the funnest thing you can do out there. Um, so,
yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I think when you formulate this idea that we have our own shooting standards for whether or not we consider you ready to conceal carry, um, you're you're basically saying to people, you don't have the right until you can do it the way I want you to do it.
Well, and th let's say even in an IDS class, we have the humans show up and they checked off the instructor's boxes. They checked off everything that are they doing it because that's what we asked them to do and they just don't wanna they just paid the money and they wanna show up at the class and they wanna just go through the motions? Because you have those people too that are certificate chasers, and they just wanna say that they did the thing with the
Hmm.
person, and then that's not a representation of what they might do out in the real world. Because 'cause there's been plenty of students who in class, just from looking at it, like, "Oh, you did fine, like, everything was like, you did full extension and all that shit, and, lower center of gravity, like, you got the concepts, you got the principles, you got it all right." And then later, I see them on social media doing shit that was, like, not what they did in class,
Hmm.
or they represent a scenario or situation in a way that's, like, that's now you're going back to saying the other shit, but in the classroom, you were saying so in this 8 hours, I might get the best of you for this in this 8 hours, but it doesn't mean there was an effect.
Mhm.
So it's
Well, I've run into that too by saying by I start off the range portion by asking people to who have been in the classroom to tell me what the safety rules that we start with are. And 90% of the time, nobody can remember any of them.
yeah,
So, just because you understood it in the classroom does not mean that you hold that information. That doesn't mean
correct,
you own that information.
correct.
So you performing to a standard out here on the range does not mean you own that information.
Yeah,
It means that you were able to perform it under this circumstance. It
and
doesn't.
and we don't want performance.
Right,
Yeah, we want application.
right, not
Uh,
performance. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So
and
I want you, since
this is
Rob
what
was,
this is what I was talking about earlier.
yeah,
Is
explain why Rob said that if you can.
this?
Yeah.
Well, obviously, Rob can say it better because Rob loves nothing more than when people quote him to him.
So the quote here, or the comment is, we generally require everyone to take fundamentals of IDS, then they can take any of the advanced or specialized courses.
And then quotations on advanced specialized.
Right.
And again, it was that idea of like, we just want you to understand the concepts. We just want to make sure that you understand the principles, the concepts. Obviously, ensure that you're not a complete fucking tard. Um, and we're not introducing a dangerous human into those environments. But it's not a patch, right? It's not a here's your coin for level one, here's your coin for level two, here's not a level two. Like, do you understand and grasp the concepts? Because if you don't grasp the very fundamental concepts of what we're trying to teach you, you're going to have a really shitty time in the other classes. Like, it's you're not even going to understand what the fuck we're asking you to do. So it's really more of that more than anything else. Again, Pinkas can add to that, but
So
um,
like it seems to me though that the idea is that if we're going to talk about something advanced, you have to understand where that information is coming from. Right. So if
correct,
we were talking about two-person armed defense, or if you talk unorthodox shooting positions, then you already have an understanding of plausibility and probability and efficiency and consistency, and that
correct,
you've been introduced to this information so that we can build on top of that, not
correct.
as a checkbox or patch chasing or certificate chasing.
Correct, and
Um,
there's no, "Well, you took this one, so now you have to take advanced pistol handling next, and then now
mhm,
you have to take" um, the times that I've been around it, there's a preference. I prefer to do advanced pistol handling first and then unorthodox position just because of reasons, but
mhm.
and maybe it just worked that way in Mexico because it's Mexico, but and then there's a safety aspect to understand what to expect. So, go to ready position. Yeah, it's the safety stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. So
Um, Speaking of safety stuff, I saw a safety, like I saw what looked like a safety issue at Pikes Peak Gun Club. And this is not to like, it's not a safety issue and anybody's in imminent danger. It's just somebody's placing a target higher up than the top of the berm, and from the angle that they were shooting at.
correct,
And the berm is there to stop the bullet, but if you're familiar with Pikes Peak Gun Club, like there's nothing out there past the club. Uh, but it's the idea of like, you are understanding that just because you're on the range and just because there is a berm does not mean every bullet is going into the
correct,
berm. You need to be aware of the direction of your muzzle as you're handling the gun, um, which is like when we talk about the reloads and people, well, I got to be able to see what I'm doing. Well, where's your muzzle pointed, and does it need to be pointed in that direction in order for you to accomplish your reload? Uh, so yeah, the safety things, because most trained people, if you ask them about reloads, they say, "Oh yeah, get it up into your workspace. Get that gun up into
correct.
into your field of view." Um, and then at some point somebody's going to send a round into orbit. Uh, yeah. So good to hear from you, Rob. Thanks for chiming in. So yeah, I had some good feedback. I finally, it's a bummer Rob's getting off, because I'm about to uh say something that he told me that it took me forever. It took me, and I say forever, it took me years to figure this out. And it was like super simple. We talk about shooting with both eyes open when you're using the sights and not and closing an eye, and because I was taught this and taught this and taught this by so many people, and I practiced it and I practiced it, and I'm like, no, I can shoot with both eyes open. So why wouldn't I? And Rob's comment, the thing that finally stuck with me, he's like, but you're only using one eye. Like, no, I'm using two. No, you're not. You're only using one. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Now you're gonna have to break that down for a lot of humans, because it's such a mind fuck. Because it is like, what do you mean I'm only using one? I have two eyes open,
hmm
and I can clearly see things on this one, and I can clearly see things on this one.
Yeah.
So we perceive.
Right. So
It
you being able to see something does not mean you're using that information. In fact, what you're actually doing is actively ignoring information while also using information. So you're ignoring the image that your non-dominant eye is using,
well,
or
and we would even argue that the idea of dominant eyes
well, yeah,
is
but you do have a dominant eye, meaning one eye takes over when the task gets more complicated. Like when precision is needed, one eye tends to take over,
correct,
right? So we call that our dominant eye.
correct,
We don't use that terminology when we're talking about teaching how to shoot with your sights on a handgun. But you do have dominance. Like it's just
right,
like being right-handed or left-handed. You have a dominant side. Um, so when you shoot with both eyes open, you're like, well, I'm using two eyes. No, you're not. You're using one eye. You are aligning your sights with your eye, and you
correct,
are ignoring the data you're getting from your other eye, or you are trying to ignore the data you're getting from your other eye, or the information you're getting from your other eye.
correct,
So in fact, you are complicating this process
correct,
by keeping both eyes open and processing information that is unnecessary.
correct,
And you are only using, when we say using, meaning you are aligning the gun to a single eye.
correct. And the like, this is a related but slightly separate issue. Is humans have a natural blind spot in our vision. So you help yourself by doing it correctly, and just help yourself, right? Like just make it better. Um
So explain that blind spot.
so so I'm just going to read what it says up here. The
Mhm.
human eye has a small area known as a blind spot where it cannot detect light. This is a psychological phenomenon that occurs due to the location of the optic nerve, which carries visual information from the eye to the brain. So this is a, I don't know if you guys can see the image, but there is a natural, just because of the way our eyes are fucked and they're not perfect. There's actually a pretty weird blind spot that your brain just fills in with information that it had previously. A lot of what we see is your brain just adding in information there. So in a time of moment, in a moment of stress or trauma, what we're trying to do is help the brain not process additional information that's going to be completely irrelevant
Mhm.
to the circumstance.
That's interesting. I actually didn't know about that blind spot thing. One thing I did learn is that people are like, well, you close an eye, you lose situational awareness. Um, and I went to find out, like, how much of your visual field do you lose when you close an eye? And the answer is about 30% of your visual field. But most people would assume that you lose half of your visual field when you
Correct.
close an eye. which is not true. And on top of that, your brain is already narrowing the focus of your visual perceptions
So
to the
it's
center of your field of view.
yeah, it's the increased visual acuity to the center field of vision. Yeah,
So, and that's happening because of blood flow. That's
correct.
not that's not because like you are somehow uh becoming a superhuman and be like, "Oh, I better focus all my vision at the center of my field." It's just blood is going to different parts of the eye. So, and then something else I learned recently too is that your visual focus, your depth perception flattens or can flatten. That's the
Yeah,
thing about all these body's natural reactions. You have to put it in context of this is what the body normally does. It may not, maybe not all of these things will happen to you, or maybe not to the
correct,
degree that
correct,
that you anticipate they would happen or not happen. But this is what the body is wired to do in these
correct.
circumstances. But yeah, the lens on the eye flattens out and flattens your depth perception,
Well, and
which
this is where it gets complex to talk about eye dominance because depending on distance, it might be a different eye that wants to
mhm,
take over and a stronger vision. 'Cause I
yeah,
have one eye that is better up near, up close, and then one that's better out far. And then the problem with saying eye dominance, and I know what we're doing here. I get it. I
yeah.
just want to be
But
explicit
words
about this.
matter.
Yeah, is if I lose my vision for whatever reason, blood, gunshot wound, whatever. For some reason my eye is not working at that moment, but that's my dominant eye. It's just like, well, now I only have one eye anyways, so like
Mhm,
I'm gonna have to use the other eye.
yeah. Gun website says I always close one eye in case someone sets off an aerial flare. That way, I always retain night vision in one eye. So one of the things I do when I should be sleeping, and I'm watching YouTube instead of sleeping.
Hold on, hold on. I just want to acknowledge the level of fucking awesome or weird or whatever the fuck you want to call it to end up with this conclusion, because that's a very specific fucking circumstance.
It can happen. It can happen. It happened on Greta Thunberg's boat a couple weeks ago. Somebody set off a flare and it accidentally landed back on the boat, and
That's
then
awesome.
nobody could see anything because they hadn't closed an eye. So, uh, so I'll lay in bed with my head on the pillow, and one eye is covered up, and I'm just watching YouTube with the other eye, and then I go to the bathroom, and I
Scare
am
yourself.
completely blind in one eye when I get up to go to the bathroom. So, um, but yeah, I mean, people take this information that like there is a way to do it. You can shoot with two eyes open. It is possible to do that because it is a way to do it. And people say, well, I got really good at it. Understanding that in the context of what we're teaching here, that is not as good as teaching it this way. And in fact, can cause problems in ways that you can't anticipate or you won't anticipate. But
You're
if
talking about
I'm,
when using sites, though. We've got to be clear when using
yeah, when
sites.
using sites, when using
Yeah,
sites. But if I'm teaching a drill to say, like we're doing the bill drill or whatever, and we keep tuning the training to the standard, you will continue to take every advantage you can get on the range to attain that standard. So, and this is why we have to keep reinforcing we're not teaching you for this context. Even though these things are happening out here, we're not teaching for this context. We're teaching for the dynamic
correct,
critical incident
correct.
context. Um, and since we can't put a standard on that, why would we teach to one? So, anyway,
Yeah.
I think we beat that to death for now. Uh, oh, but let me go back and say why I'm doing this. So I stumbled upon this concept, and I can't remember what it's called. I was looking up something else, and there's this practice that young samurai would do, which is like once you learn the skills, you go out into the country and you go to the different monasteries and you challenge people either intellectually or with your physical skills. and you can't consider yourself to possess that knowledge of the samurai until you've tested it out in the world. And then at some point, then you'll be welcomed into a monastery or wherever. And it's not just samurai, like monks would do this and like all kinds of different disciplines would do this. Like, maybe that's the way I can justify my compulsive behavior of going online and getting into arguments with people. It's like, I'm just trying to
Just
prove to
testing out the
myself.
knowledge.
Yeah, I'm just trying to prove to myself that I understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, that's not a bad thing. Well, hopefully that's what it is,
I
and
hope
and
so. Yeah.
and and maybe you switch it to that, even if it wasn't the
Mhm.
initial intent, but it's because that is a good way to sharpen up the skills and get to a point where it's just okay. I'm not just in an echo chamber,
Right.
and I'm genuinely trying to understand the other human being. This is the other fucking problem with the conspiracy theories. We kind of said this, they are not wanting to genuinely have a conversation with you.
Right.
They just want to hear themselves fucking talk,
Mhm.
and that's it. And I find myself sometimes doing that in classes like, okay, I need to stop and I actually need to listen to what the fuck is or pay attention to what the fuck is happening
Mhm.
so I don't fall into that same trap of feeding into my own bullshit
Right.
because it's easy
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah, I do it. People will start to ask a question, and I think I know what their question is, so I'm
Yeah,
kind of impatient to answer it, and then I have to tell myself, "Listen to what they're saying,"
correct.
because they might
I'm
be
horrible at that.
they might be
Oh,
using
dude.
words that I think I recognize, but they might actually be asking a completely different question.
Dude, and here's the kicker, I might be right 95% of the time, but it's that other 5% where it's like, I should just
That's where
shut
all
the
the
fuck
negative Google reviews come from, the other 5%.
The other 5%, yeah.
"This guy wouldn't listen to me at all." Yeah, so
That's funny.
all right. Well, that was a good run. Thanks, everybody, for joining in. Noodles and Pinkus and Gun Websites. I listened the other day. Gun Websites was talking to Tony Simon out in New Jersey. I just finished a class and I was literally sitting on the toilet and I was like, "Oh, Gun Websites is live." And so I want Gun Websites to know that I was actually listening to your podcast while I was in the shower. So, um, yeah. Oh, Bobby Solar Homestead. I think I've seen you on YouTube, uh, Mr.
Hey,
Solar Homestead.
Bobby Solar Homestead, your email is full, and we cannot get our emails. Oh, no, it wasn't you, never mind. The other dude was a woodworker.
Oh, okay.
I just seen the talk about not fucking paying attention. The other guy is a woodworker. His emails keep bouncing because he's met his quota.
Oh, okay. Um, yeah, so shout out to, Gun Websites and Tony Simon, doing a live the other day.
Yeah, if you don't know who Gun Websites is, we say this often, but you guys ought to go check that shit out. He does content all of the time. Like he's super consistent about that stuff. Go check that shit out. Go check out his websites. I actually need to do a quick little short about his website, so hopefully it's updated. Chop chop,
Chop,
get it
chop.
updated so I can do it. But yeah,
And if you don't know who Tony Simon is, he runs an organization called The Second Is For Everyone, out in New Jersey, and a lot of the same principles about around guns for everyone, which is, uh, this should be accessible to everybody, and there's
yeah.
ways to make that happen. So,
His
um,
his is more. Again, the concept is the same, but his shoot is called a diversity shoot.
yeah,
So it's the diversity shoot. So he wants to make sure that this doesn't get stereotyped. Now we should have Tony on. I've had Tony on before, but you and I should have him on together.
yeah,
Because it's really more of a concept. Like it's dumb that people think that guns are just for old white men.
hmm
It's kind of that's not what it is.
yeah.
It's
So Bobby says we've been friends for years. Your brother and I have been friends for 14 years. I'm so
dude, what
retarded.
the fuck?
I'm so retarded.
What the fuck?
Unless he's talking to you.
No, because this is on paired and that's on yours.
Oh, it's on
That's
mine. Oh,
yeah. When it says
okay.
paired, that means it's on yours. Hey, Bobby Solar Homestead, don't you fuck did not this is it. Welcome to our lives. Welcome to our fucking lives. This is why I ultimately don't fucking feel horrendous with you,
Yeah.
because this motherfucker's like, dude, we're like almost best friends, and this dude's like, I don't even know who the fuck you are. 14 plus fucking years, and you're like, I
Uh,
don't know who the fuck you are.
yeah, and
Uh, th-
he put a comment on one of my videos a little while ago, and it was like he was, like, real familiar with me, and I was like, "Oh, man, who is
Bobby's Yank 4, whatever the fuck that means. That means something to
this?"
you.
I should ask, have we been online friends? Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, going back to Josh's old, YouTube channel, I think.
Okay, not actual friends.
Well, I mean, Dustin, the sniper, he's, I
Sniper.
consider him a friend,
Correct.
um, and Jason,
Jason.
down in Alabama.
Jason.
Yeah. So, yes, okay, alright. Um, so, yeah,
I mean, he
Josh
still doesn't know who the fuck you are, but
No, I remember Yank 4, but I'm trying to, like, put that in I'm trying to remember more about it. But Josh had, like, all these people that he knew really well on YouTube,
yeah.
and I was kind of, like, along for the ride on a lot of it. So, Salty
Ah,
Shellback was another one,
this is incredible.
Ebommy,
E-bomb
um,
me.
yeah, a couple other ones, and these guys are still around, they're still making videos and stuff.
One of
So,
them's got a pretty big fucking following. I forget which one that is. Is it E-bomb?
Ebommy's been around a long time, he's still making videos. Um, there's another guy, I'm trying to remember his name, he was really funny. Uh, he was like this, nerdy redneck, and
Nice.
yeah, he made some funny videos. But anyway, there were some of them aren't around anymore. Some of them found other things to do. But yeah, so all right. Well, I think we hit the bottom of the.
Yeah. The fucking title of this episode was self-defense videos and the Second Amendment.
We did one video.
We did
We
one. We
we
didn't
didn't really
talk
talk
about
about the Second Amendment at all.
the market. The
Yeah, I
market.
mean, we talked a little bit about.
No, we didn't
No,
talk
we
about the
didn't.
market at all.
No, I think I started a sentence and didn't finish it.
And then I posted up a quick little uh, Excel spreadsheet, and
Yeah.
then so I think it counts.
Well,
Um,
in a couple weeks, I'm gonna be seeing Justin again, and I'm definitely gonna ask him a few questions. So, um,
Justin.
yeah, Pop's
Oh,
Quest,
SDS guns.
SDS Guns, Justin at SDS Guns. Yeah. So,
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what's up. But I'm looking at the numbers, so like
mhm.
it's this is straight from the people who run the background checks, and fuck yeah, you can ask a question. Let's go.
I think it was last month was the first month where we did not have over 1 million background checks for the month of like July in the United States
So the trend for
since COVID.
Colorado is slowly going down. Even for
Mhm,
concealed handguns, there was like a 4,000 application drop from one month to another,
mhm.
and it's slowly going down, and it's flatlined a little bit. So next time, or maybe I'll make a separate video. One of the things that I keep getting is a lot of text messages and a lot of messages from people talking about the market and how I don't know if they're going to make it. A lot of businesses, but this is why I wanted Josh on. Um, but
Y I meant
uh,
to I should have asked you, did you mean Josh, from Firearms Legal Protection or my brother?
your brother,
Oh,
the
okay.
fuck am I going to do with the other guy?
I
The other guy would have been fucking worthless for this shit. For this.
Well, he coulda tell you about getting laid off, I guess.
No, no,
Um,
Chase, your brother. Because
yeah.
there's a lot of things that people do wrong when the market hits a fucking slump,
Mhm,
and what they usually do is just try and throw money at the problem,
mhm,
and, like, that's that it's this is a market issue, this is not a you're not marketing enough. It's you 1, you should, but there's better ways that don't cost a lot of money
mhm.
to actually do it correctly.
Yeah.
Here's the question from What is more important to the community, keeping existing 2A activists around or bringing on to new 2A activists? Um, it depends. This one's a tough one. There's a lot of great 2A activists, I think, that are of the older gen, but they're not as appealing to the Gen Zers, and I think that's what we're missing is that. So I don't know if a purge is necessary, but there's a lot of 2A activists that are activists in name only, if that makes sense. Um, I hate to say this, but like 90% of the gun influencers, the gun tubers, are not really 2A activists. Like I would not consider them 2A activists. They are 2A activists for a profit. And I think that kind of goes away that goes against the whole activist part is I'm doing this for the money instead of I'm doing it for the movement. So I don't know. I'm going to have to think about this a little bit more. My initial emotional response is we still have a lot of good old, for lack of a better term, but we definitely need new ones that appeal more to the Gen Zers. Uh, the gun community is doing a horrendous job as a whole at honing in that crowd, and maybe that's a positive thing. Maybe they need their own separate shit. Maybe they need their own. I just don't see a cohesion with the Gen Zers.
Yeah, I think that there is actually something to the whole concept of people want to they want to identify with people that look like them, that
Yeah.
that sound like them. Um,
Oh, and I guess that's consistent with this.
yeah,
Is
and so when you say stick around 2 or 3 years, then gone like a turnstile, there's actually this uh, psychological cycle that happens when people get really fervent about a new idea. You see this in religion, you see it with education, you see it with like
yeah,
a lot of things where they'll get really into it, and it lasts about 18 months before that you start to see uh, a significant drop off.
the whole
Um,
honeymoon effect.
yeah, honeymoon effect, relationships, all kinds of stuff. And I think that this is, I don't know how to solve this problem because I think this is more of like a philosophy of life issue than it is about a gun issue. And I don't know how to instill that and teach that in people. So, um,
But I think this is it right here. Is I think this turns it off. Gun websites posted about the Second Amendment thing, and I always it does kind of hurt my feelings, and I try and be as logical as possible about this. Um, but it is very much if you don't pay us money, we will not recognize who you are.
mhm,
If you're not part of our inner circle, we will not recognize who you are. And this is how the BBB works. This is how um
politics.
politics, what is the Chamber of Commerce works.
Mhm.
I used to get so like, what the fuck? Why like I know a lot of business people that are not getting recognized. It's like, oh, you need to be a part of their group in order
Their
for them to
cartel.
their cartel, yeah, in order
Yeah.
for them to recognize you. And that may have some oh shit, look at that.
Oh, look at that.
I appreciate that.
Michael or
Um
Mitchell. Sorry, my
Mitchell.
vision's not that great.
Yeah, I
Mitchell
appreciate
coming
that.
through.
I
Speaking of
I
money, the
speaking of
timing
money,
on that was hilarious.
hilarious. And it's one of those where if we're not part of your group, we cannot recognize you. And I do believe that that has a little bit to do with why the newer crowd doesn't stick in because it's like I it's not even a recognition thing, it's an acceptance thing to your point gun websites is um we have to make sure that people understand like again it's where oh shit I appreciate that we're gonna stay on longer now fuck I'm gonna show a nipple here in a little bit nipples coming out so I don't know I need to mull that question over a little bit more I can see why the OnlyFans works because like what the fuck this is all
Ooh. Almost just did something I shouldn't do. just for the fun of it. Um, but yeah, it's how do you get past that? You know, because I mean, people have fundamental needs of like, I need resources, I need money, I need, and so if you threaten that with even just like, we don't need to do that in order to work together, I think that'll break down at some point. And this is kind of like take it off. This is kind of like the problem I've been saying for a long time. We have it too good.
Yeah.
This is a problem that exists because we don't need to work together. Even with bad gun laws passing and losing rights in some states, in general, people don't feel the need. And I think that's where you get the real cooperation and you get the real true believers and the people who stick with it is when it's necessary. And it's not necessary right now. I mean,
Yeah.
we think it's necessary, but most people really fundamentally don't.
Well, and we might have forgotten this the very basic principle of just meet people where they're at.
Hmm.
And maybe the younger generation is in it, just not the way we're used to them being in it. Like
Yeah.
maybe they are in the gun community, just not as um just again, just not the way we want them to be, or just the way we have the idea of. Again, it's twice in one day.
As long as we could be honest about rejecting each other's realities, I think that's the first step. Uh, yeah, and honestly, like this younger generation, this 25 and under generation, is so different because of the world they're growing up in.
Yeah.
Like we really, I do think, need to listen to them and figure out where they're coming from, because otherwise, I don't think we'll be able to communicate. It doesn't mean they're right.
Correct.
But if we can't communicate with them, if we can't find some shared value, we're not going to be able to translate what we think is important onto them.
Well,
So,
we had somebody here back when things were good, and we had a little bit of extra income. We hired somebody for about a month or 2, I think is what it was, and there was we seen a slight shift in the way we promoted stuff and the way we talked about, because she was, I think she was like 22, 20
mhm.
maybe.
She was a student, right?
She was a student. She had just graduated from college.
Mhm.
She was trying to do her line of work, so we were her in between college and getting a real job, a real
Mhm.
job. And that was a big shift, right? Because we were doing shit administratively that for me was like, I'm not used to this,
Mhm.
but we hired this person, so fucking and it was different, and it was different. Now that she's gone, it's back to just the way I do stuff. Um, which can be a problem. It can be a problem. So
Yeah. And this generation has been subjected to such a different uh way of consuming information and sharing information and understanding things. It's like you're talking to an entirely different culture. Um, and when I'm talking to my kids, like normal, regular conversations, fine. But when they get together with their friends, like I have no idea what's going on. And so, um,
and
yeah,
it's not just a language thing. It's just it's
it's how they look at the world.
yes, yeah.
Yeah. Um,
And again, maybe that's the problem, is maybe they are into the Second Amendment, maybe they do appreciate it. Maybe I'm not saying it is. We're just not seeing them through their lens,
mhm,
and we're not incorporating that into ours.
right.
So it's I don't know. I'm gonna have to think that one.
Yeah.
That was a good question.
Very good question. Um, cool. Well, yeah, we covered that. We still didn't get to the market, but
All right, we'll do it some other time.
we'll
I'll
do it
make a
next time.
video about it.
Yeah.
So I
Cool. Well,
appreciate you guys.
appreciate the super
Thanks for
chats and
the
all the comments and
yeah,
everything. Really, really awesome. It really does help because otherwise we just keep repeating the same things over and over again. And now we get to repeat it at least with your question involved. So, or your comment, because Noodles gave comments, and that's just as valuable as questions, I think. So,
correct.
and disagreeing is valuable,
Always a
so we can
positive.
hash things out. So
Correct.
cool.
Sweet.
All
I
right.
appreciate you guys. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for the feedback, all that stuff. I really appreciate it.
And we got
We'll
classes
see
coming up.
several classes coming up. Um, I'm gonna be traveling a little bit more as things change with us and trying to adapt to the market. So I'm gonna be traveling a little bit more within the Denver metro area. I'm probably gonna add some more cities as well, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah,
Going on tour.
going on tour stay tour stay to tour stay because there's staycation. What's
Oh, yeah, yeah.
uh
Yeah, I don't know.
tour? Yeah, I don't know. All right, appreciate you guys. We'll see you
All
guys.
right. Peace.